All right, folks, we are live. I know I'm like 2 minutes behind what I scheduled it for, but this is a bit impromptu, right? Okay, so what I want to do is we're going to do a little matchmaking. You see, the welterweight and lightweight title pictures seem to be playing out right in front of us, and I'm afraid that the UFC is going to mess this up. So I'm gonna fix that. And so my wife is out at the ballet tonight, so I actually had a little extra stuff here. Her and her friend went out to go watch the Nutcracker or something like that. So we got some time to do some matchmaking, and that's what we're gonna do. Also, yo, check out this Cloud Bet merch I got. This is sick. They hooked me up with that. So shout out to them. They sent it to me. I did a little unboxing video on Twitter if you saw it. But okay, so let's talk about this matchmaking, right? Okay, so. Oh, hey, shout out in the chat. What's up? Hey, thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, that was a good stream. I actually, I enjoyed that. Hey, Jivan had never done a stream before. In fact, that was our first time actually meeting. So that was a fun time. But yeah, I won't be able to see some of the chat when I'm doing some. I'm not super tech savvy, guys. So bear with me here. So if I catch up on the chat later, just bear with me. Okay. We're gonna talk a little bit about some matchups that we need to make. Now, you'll see my very rudimentary setup here. It's gonna be okay. This is how we're gonna run it. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna pull up a really detailed picture. We're gonna start with lightweight because okay, the Sarukian fight was just in our minds, so we're gonna start with that. So we're gonna add the there we go. The lightweight title picture is on the screen. I hope you guys can see that. Looks like you can. So that's cool. It's on Paint. Yes, because I'm using Paint. Why am I using Paint? Well, because I'm not tech savvy, like I said. So that's what we're going to do. Okay, but as you see, we've got our guys up here. And this isn't necessarily how we're going to match them. I'm going to explain this. I did a little bit on Twitter. That's why I'm doing this one first because I put it out on Twitter already. Armin just fought. So Armin isn't going to be ready to fight in, say, January. Why is that? Well, because it's almost December. And he just fought. And even though he was fairly undamaged, it's just not how that works. So Armin's going to need a little time. Ilya has not fought in a while. So keeping Ilya on ice until Armin is ready just doesn't make a ton of sense to me because there's no reason that we have to do that. So what I think we do is strike while the iron's hot. Ilya and Patty were both at the event, right? I know everybody's thinking, oh, Patty doesn't deserve it. I don't care if he deserves it. It's not about whether he deserves it or not. It just makes sense. We got a January pay-per-view coming up. I guess not a pay-per-view anymore. But we got a January card coming up. Actually, I don't want to do that. I want to do it. We'll do it with the brush. Let me get a brush. Okay, guys, we're working this as we go. Yeah. So anyway, so here's what we're gonna do first. We've got Ilya and Patty are gonna fight each other first, and the reason why they were already both at the event. There's the beef there. Ilya Taporia is hand sanitizer boy. We already know what's up with that. So that's a built-in like storyline, right? And everybody's like, well, why isn't Armin getting the title shot? He deserved the title shot. He shouldn't have fight anybody else. No, he shouldn't have to fight anybody else. Don't be silly. Armin is going to fight the winner of Patty and Ilya, not because Patty deserves the fight more than Armin does, but because Patty has not had a fight in a while, and either has Ilya. We need somebody to headline whatever they're going to call the numbered events in January. And everybody's like, well, why haven't they announced any of those? Yeah, it's because they're under ESPN still. They're going to announce the Paramount stuff and ESPN advertise it. That's just not going to work. That's not a thing that's going to happen. So what we're going to have to do is we're going to match up Ilya Taporia and Patty Pimblett, right? And you're thinking, I get it. You're thinking, okay, well, Armin's getting screwed. He's not, because Armin is a built-in matchup for the winner because he's got a storyline for either one, and he's also the rightful number one contender, right? So then what you do is you take I'm going to do it like this. So you take this, we're drawing a line here. We're drawing lines, guys. We're doing our best. This is what it's going to look like. So now Armin is going to fight whoever wins between Ilya Taporia and Patty Pimblett, but he's going to fight them at International Fight Week. Easy. That's huge. And Armin's going to be like, well, I don't want to wait. Yeah, dude. Well, you just fought. Guess what? Now you get International Fight Week. That's a big card. It's huge. It's massive. You're going to want that. And you're going to fight the winner of Ilya versus Patty. Done. You've already booked it too deep. We're set, right? Here's what else we do. And you wonder, like, why is Gamrot and Gaethje on there? Neither of them really deserve to be here. Look, okay. I did a video breaking down how to match up the entire lightweight division for channel members. If you want to check that out, it's $2.99 a month for channel members. But this is something I came up with, right? Here's what you're going to try to do. Gaethje's being a crybaby about it. I get it. He wants the title fight. I understand. However, he's not going to get the title fight, and if he doesn't want that, then he can retire. No big deal. And then we leave this part out, and then we still have the title picture booked out two fights deep. We got something in January, and then we got something in presumably July for International Fight Week. If you can get Gaethje to quit being a crybaby and just take the fight, like I understand he's earned some, some credibility, some whatever, because he's fought most of the people around, right? What you do is you tell him, look, Gaethje, here's the deal. We're going to put you on the same card in January as Ilia Topuria and Paddy Pimblett, and you're going to fight Mateusz Gamrot. You can be the de facto backup if something happens to that, but you're not really a backup. This is just we'll call you in an emergency thing. But you're going to fight Mateusz Gamrot. If you beat Mateusz Gamrot, giving you another win, which you've got one recently or semi-recently, now you'll have 2 wins. And Gamrot's, ranked, right? He's not in the top, but he's ranked. So that's a decent win. Gaethje's legacy is pretty good, right? He's got a pretty good resume. So you get him another win. And then you say, okay, Gaethje, now you're officially the backup for International Fight Week. When you don't throw him another fight on that card, you tell him, look, you're going to be next in line. It's fine. We got you. International Fight Week, backup fighter, Gaethje, Justin Gaethje, if he beats Gamrot, that is, which that's a tough ask. But if he does, you make him then the backup for Arman Tsarukyan versus the winner of Paddy Pimblett and Ilia Topuria. So now you've got a backup because Arman has pulled out of a fight before. He is the reason that Renato Moicano had a fight against Islam Makhachev for the championship. If you forget that, that's okay. Go back and check it out. That's what happened. So that's why you definitely want an official backup for Arman versus either Ilia or Paddy, because it's happened before. I'm not saying that it's going to happen again, but there's reason to believe that if it's happened once, it's possible that it happens again. So then you put Justin Gaethje in there as the official backup. Now you potentially have it booked 3 deep. If Gaethje is then willing to fight the winner of whoever won out with Paddy and Ilia versus the winner of Arman and that person, like whoever in that one, if he's willing to wait it out a little bit longer, he's just got to beat Gamrot, and then the boy earns himself a title shot. I think this makes a ton of sense. I understand that the UFC isn't trying to do things that make sense. They just want to do stuff that gets views, big whatever. This does all of that. That gets you big views. That gets you, you're secure in your matchups. You have technically you have a backup for everything, right? And then let's pretend, for example, that the Paddy versus Ilia fight, maybe Justin doesn't make championship weight, but say Gamrot does. Gamrot's not a great person to step in for that, considering he's coming off a loss, but you still have someone you can throw in there if you absolutely have to. It's not something you want to do if you absolutely have to. But now we've got it booked 3 fights deep. If Gamrot beats Gaethje, I think you don't worry about that, and I think you then go off of a different. You work some different matches up. You just got it 2 deep, right? You got the first title fight, and then you got the second layer. I feel like if Gaethje beats Gamrot, though, now you've got it booked 3 deep. Gaethje can't complain. He knows the title shot's coming. He just has to get through Gamrot. It's a winnable fight. It's not an easy fight, but it's a winnable fight. And it's against somebody that has some decent name credibility, a guy that technically has a win over Arman Tsarukyan. Look at that. You're set. You got the lightweight division booked out. That's what I'm doing. That's what I'm thinking, okay? So for me, that makes a ton of sense. Ton of sense. I understand why some people wouldn't like that, but I think it makes a ton of sense. Okay, so we're gonna back out of that one. I'm gonna check on the chat a little bit, and then we're gonna talk about the welterweight division. I know you guys are wondering about that too. So let's see. Koji looked good in his return. You dang right he did. This people will tell you. They'll be like, oh, he's washed, he's old. At least they would have before this. Dude has only lost once at flyweight. Haraguchi is an absolutely fantastic fighter. He has only lost at flyweight. I know a lot of people are new to the sport. They came around in the COVID era. That dude's only flyweight loss is against Demetrius Johnson, Mighty Mouse, the best flyweight to ever do it. So it's not a bad loss. It's not you can't fault the guy. Plus, it was with a second left in the 5th round. Or 2 seconds left. I don't remember. It's something like that. It was a competitive fight. Everybody's like, well, but he lost to Patchy Mix. Patchy Mix is barely a bantamweight. That dude almost fits into featherweight. And Koji is a small flyweight. Or every one of his losses outside of the Demetrius Johnson fight were at bantamweight. And a lot of them are fights where he's looking really good. Like he lost to Sergio Pettis the first time. He came back and beat the brakes off him in the second one. The first time he lost to him, beat the brakes off of him. He's beating Sergio Pettis handily. Like a couple seconds left or what? Or not, it's in the last round. Pettis hits him with a spinning back fist, puts him out. Okay, great. Sergio Pettis can do that. He did that to Magomedov recently. Horiguchi is a legitimate prospect. So thank you for bringing that up. He did look great. He's going to continue to look great. Pantoja is a heck of a matchup for anybody. So there's that. But yeah, something to mention. We got off topic there, but I did want to highlight that. We got Nate in the chat. What's up, my brother? Let's see. Patty hasn't earned a title shot, but I can see why the UFC might want to give him. Yeah. So like I said, it's not because he's earned it per se. Technically, the dude's undefeated in the UFC. So like he's got a pretty good win streak in the UFC. So it makes sense as far as that goes. I think he's more deserving than anyone except for Arman. But the reason that fight makes sense is because it doesn't make sense to make Ilya wait for another 6 months or so. Well, we wait for Arman Tsarukyan to be ready to fight. We've got Ilya ready to go. He hasn't fought in a while, right? His last fight was when he beat Charles Oliveira, and that was a while. That was months ago, right? So if you can get Ilya to fight in January, at the latest February, but I'm thinking January, and you can make it against Paddy Pimblett, you have a huge matchup, and you've got the second layer booked. That's when you got Arman coming in. I understand maybe Arman's more deserving. That's not the point I'm making at all. Arman is more deserving than Paddy, but Paddy has that. That's just that he has the added bonus of just being ready when the champion's ready. So that makes sense to me. I get it. He's maybe hasn't earned it, but I think it makes a lot of sense to do that now. And then you've got Arman ready to go to fight the winner at International Fight Week because Arman's not going to be ready for a fight because he just fought. So he's not going to be ready for a fight for a little while now. Now, okay. So we've got the lightweights figured out. That's what we're rocking with, right? I understand some people are going to disagree. If you do this, okay, you can throw it in the chat. It's fine. I'm open to discussion. Now, the next one, welterweight, is going to take a little bit more speculation because we've got some things here. Now, I'm going to do my best to share that as well. And guess what? We're going to do the same thing. We're doing paint. Why are we doing paint? Because that's what I know how to use. I've already told you this. It's okay, guys. It's okay. All right. Okay, so we got paint. Hold up. Okay, so here are 6 welterweights. And I went with these 6 because I think that makes the most sense to talk about these 6, right? First thing I want to point out is that Islam is calling for the Usman matchup. Islam wants to fight Kamaru Usman. I get that from a legacy perspective. You want to get him before he's gone, this, that, and the other. I think that's a stupid idea if you're thinking long-term for Islam. If I'm thinking long-term for Islam, I'm trying to fight Michael Morales as soon as I can. And you might be thinking, why would you want to do that? Because Michael Morales is an absolute killer. Why would you want to fight him? That guy's he's a tough challenge. Right, but if you're thinking long-term, if Islam is thinking long-term, he's like, I can stick around in this division for a little while. I can be the champion for a little while. I want to, hold this belt for as long as I can. Get that guy out of there early. If you can beat him now before he gets any better, the dude's still in his early 20s. Like, if you can beat that guy before he gets any better, that's the best opportunity you got. Make him have to earn back to there after you've already beaten him once. That's going to make it a lot longer path. If you've got to fight him, say, 2 years from now, that's not what you want. If you take a couple of years to fight, say, Usman, Shavkat, Ian Gary, maybe even Carlos Prates, if you fight all these guys first and then you get to Michael Morales, that's going to suck. Like, the guy's pretty good and he's probably going to be even better. He has the most growth ready to come. I'm, at least just based on his age, right? So for me, if I'm Islam, I'm calling for the fight against Morales. That's probably not going to happen. So there's that. So we've got Shavkat here, right? We don't know what's up with Shavkat. It seems like he's still injured. If he's still injured, he obviously is not going to be fighting because that's how that works. If you're injured, you're not fighting. If he's not injured, it makes sense. He's the obvious matchup for Islam. So if in fact we can say that Shavkat is not injured, let's do this, right? That makes sense. He's earned the title shot. Dude's undefeated. All that good stuff. Here's the deal. We don't know that though. So we're gonna take a step back and we're gonna think about this a little more. Usman wants the title shot. Islam wants to fight Usman. I understand. Usman can't do that, right? because Usman has won one fight in his last, what, 4? That's just not enough for a title shot. I understand he's got the legacies and all this stuff. If you want Usman to have the potential, a big name like him, to fight Islam, you give him a matchup that's not an easy matchup, but stylistically favors Usman the best, and that's Carlos Prates. Prates does not have a stake at the title right now because he's coming off, or well, not coming off of a loss. He's got to win, but he lost to Ian Gary already, and Ian Gary's in the running, and that was very recent. That was a couple of fights ago for him. So I feel like Carlos Prates versus Kamaru Usman is the fight, and you tell Usman, if you don't want this fight, you're just not going to get a title shot, and you can just keep sitting there. That's just how it works. If you beat Carlos Prates isn't going to go. He's sticking around, right? He's not like his exciting fighting style. He's going to be on the main card of pay-per-views, regardless of whether he wins or loses against a guy like Kamaru Usman. He can get a title shot with a win over Usman if he does it right, if he plays his cards right. But for Kamaru Usman, he needs to get a win, a big win over somebody with a lot of hype. His best shot is Carlos Prates. That's an exciting matchup. We might also see Usman go to sleep because, just like Leon Edwards did. But you also might see Usman put on a performance like he did in Buckley. Next thing you know, the guy's now has at least a decent case for a title shot, right? Like it's not a great case for a title shot, but look, we're giving Piotr Jan a title shot, and he's going on a 3. He's 3-2 in his last 5. So it's like Usman's not far off from that. So there it is. That's what I would do with those two. So now we've got this here. Who gets the fight out of these guys? I think Morales should get the fight. If you're Islam, I think if you're Islam, you should go with Morales. He's not going to get the fight, though, because on merit, it's obviously it's Shavkat first, like I said, but that's probably not going to happen. I think Gary gets it next because you've already got the other guys booked up. Morales probably isn't going to get the title shot next. What you do, the reason he's probably not getting the title shot next is obviously his biggest win is his win against Sean Brady. Ian Gary's got bigger wins he's got a win over Carlos Prates, just beat Bilal Muhammad, all that good stuff. So what you do, here's what I'm thinking. Because Shavkat's still out, you go Islam versus Gary next. Then you have Michael Morales weigh in as the backup. Yes, we're putting a backup in. If this fight happens like I think it will, Ian Gary versus Islam probably wins. But if we do that and it works out just fine, cool. You had Morales as the backup. And now you're like, okay, well, now Morales has to get the shot next. Not necessarily. It's going to depend on what happens with Carlos Prates versus Kamaru Usman. If Prates wins, you've got a real case for Prates versus Michael Morales for a number one contender spot. And then you slide in Shavkat, who might be back by now, on the same card as that. Shavkat then fights the winner of, I guess we'll draw it down to here. We'll do this. We'll go, where's my race? Okay. We'll go Shavkat fights the winner of Ian Gary versus Islam, just because Islam isn't necessarily going to win. And then you go Prates versus Morales. If, in fact, this doesn't work out this way, that's okay. There's possibility that this doesn't work out this way. The reason why is because what if Usman wins, okay? If Usman wins, when Shavkat comes back, he probably gets the title shot. However, he might not if Usman wins. Because now you've got Usman coming back off of a win over Prates. Then you put Usman in line for the title shot, and you probably just give it to him. Because if he beats Prates, Usman's not around for a while. The UFC wants to cash in on the name value. They're going to do it. So you take Usman and you say, okay, you beat Prates. Good on you. Sorry, Michael Morales, you have to wait a little bit longer, but you don't want to put him on ice, right? You give Morales somebody else. You give him, you could just feed Leon Edwards to him if you just want to just ruin that guy's ending run. I mean, that would be horrible. You could do that. You could give him another decent contender that's probably not a big time threat for him. You give him somebody like a Jeff Neal who's a tough out, but he probably can figure it out type of thing. And then you got Shavkat back, and you tell Shavkat, look, man, you're next in line for the title, but you kind of haven't fought in a while. Why don't we give you a matchup? And then you book him against, you can make the matchup with him versus Michael Morales if you can get both of them to do it, but you also instead could book Shavkat against Prates and tell Prates, look, dude, you want to get back in the title picture? You lost to Usman. You go out here and knock out Shavkat, you're right back in it after Usman fights for the title. If you lose to Shavkat, obviously you're out of there, but that gives Prates the chance. If Prates beats Shavkat, that solves all your problems. Michael Morales fights whoever's the reigning champion at this time. You've got all your problems solved. If Shavkat beats Prates, which is more likely the case, now you've got a problem here, but you get the chance that, well, Shavkat just fought, give Morales the next fight, and then you've got Shavkat next. This is getting muddy. I understand. This title picture is a lot more muddy than the others. Then you got, well, what about the guys coming off the losses? What are we going to do with them? You got guys like Leon Edwards. You got guys like JDM. You got guys like Bilal Muhammad. You got guys like Sean Brady. Let them fight it out for a little bit. Brady wants the rematch with Bilal. Let's do it. Brady versus Bilal is a great rematch. Both guys coming off a loss. Both guys, Bilal's like, well, I've already beat this guy, so that's a way to get a bounce back win. Brady, look, dude, you lost to this guy. You want to get that loss back. Let's do it. Let's book that one up. You got it. No big deal. It's easy, problem solved. Let them get that out of the way. Leon Edwards versus JDM. That's a tough fight for Leon, but you say, look, Leon, let's get you a striker. Let's get you somebody that you can potentially work your grappling against or strike with. It's up to you. You got that. JDM, look, this is a former champion. It's somebody who maybe isn't on a hot streak right now, but he's still got the name. Boom, you get that. You got yourself a nice little bounce back for everybody or potential bounce back. Here, you got a muddy title picture, but you got it booked out. Gary gets it next by just default because Shavkat's still out, unless Shavkat, like I said, can come back. I don't think he can. That's the problem. Now we got all this. We get the whole thing. It's muddy, but it works. If that makes sense, let me know. I got rid of that arrow because I don't feel like it's necessary. But that's what I'm leaning towards right now with all those things. I'm going to stop the screen sharing here and let's address the chat a little bit. Nate's talking about saying he wishes Brian Battle would have stayed focused in his UFC career. He could have been in Knicks for 170. Yeah, unfortunately, Brian Battle definitely kind of screwed that one up. Now he's over in PFL. Dude could go do it there, and I think he's going to be at middleweight. So interesting way he went about that. But yeah, what a mess, right? But yeah, guys, that's what I'm looking at for matchmaking. I think we've got things pretty clear as day if we just follow this plan. At the lightweight picture is booked out 3 fights down, assuming it goes even remotely like planned. The only person you're really contingent on is if Gaethje can beat Gamrot. If he doesn't, you still have it booked out too deep. The welterweight picture is muddy. We don't know when Shavkat's coming back, but we do have plenty of matchups, and it's really clear cut how to book them based on when they fought, which is all of them fought recently. Who's ready to go? You got legacy stuff. The only thing is I can think of is Usman and Gaethje not agreeing to this because they're both wanting to complain and say that they're going to sit out if they're not in the next for the title. You just let them retire. Let's be honest. You just let them retire. If they're going to do that, just call their bluff. And if they do, then that's on them. No big deal. Let's see. 170 is the most interesting division right now. So many fresh matchups to make. There's tons. There are tons to make. In fact, I mean, if I tried to match this division up all the way down, I feel like it would be a nightmare, and I would start getting lost on what I was doing. I was going to try to make this in like an easier way to. I wish I could have had my marker board. I'm not at the studio right now. Obviously, I'm at my house. But if I was at the studio, I would have done that. But studio's like a 20-minute drive from here. I wasn't going to drive out there just to do that. So, but either way, this is what I came through. Let me know do you agree? Do you disagree? Do you think I was onto something? I've been live for like 24 minutes or so. I think that's about good enough for now. I wish I could stay live longer. Wife's about to be back from the ballet, so I'm gonna sign off and then probably eat some dinner because it's pretty late and I haven't eaten dinner yet. But thanks, guys. Thank you for tuning in. I appreciate all of you. I hope that you guys enjoyed this little matchmaking live stream that kind of just came apart impromptu. But I'll catch you guys down the road. Enjoy your evening.